La experiencia Rancho de la Luna. Una historia de rock and roll, mezcal y pay. David Cushing, presidente fundador de Rancho de la Luna Spirits, Estados Unidos. Bingo Richey, CEO fundador de
CEO founder of De La Luna Spirits United States, David Ranch, also founder and president of Rancho de la Luna Spirits, Moderator, Gilberto Sánchez, founder of Specific IP Mexico, and we're starting. Good morning.
I know it's early. I know there was a big party, but we are here. Today, this morning, we have legendary speakers. Okay, these guys are excellent musicians, precursors of alternative music. They are businessmen, and they are, above all, they are excellent people. So, welcome. And we are playing our first slide, and there is a video, and you'll see what it's about.
Thanks for having us. Thanks, Gilberto. Thank you, Specific IP, and thank you very much, ASIPI, for having us here. It's a great honor, and it's a great privilege to be among the brightest minds in the world and talking about and learning about intellectual property and protection. And it's a wonderful opportunity for us. Thank you so much. We're going to start with a little video that'll introduce Rancho de la Luna and how we began.
Perfect. What you just saw is only a taste of what are you about to hear from these guys, from Bingo and David. So please, Bingo, tell us what is Rancho La Luna, where is it, where is located, how it started.
I think that's a question better suited for David Catching, who was a co-founder of Rancho de la Luna.
Hello, everyone. I know it's 9 a.m., and hope everybody's got a lot of coffee in them and had a good time. It's a huge honor to be up here today. We knew we were going to have a great time, but it's far exceeded our expectations. We've met so many brilliant and wonderful people since we got in yesterday, and I just wanted to thank everyone for having us, especially Gilberto. My friend Fred Drake moved to the desert in 1992, and I got a phone call in 1993 from Fred. I was living in New Orleans, and I just started a restaurant there. And Fred asked me if I wanted to be a partner in a recording studio that he wanted to have in Joshua Tree, California at his new home, which is what you see there. And I gladly said yes, because he was one of the most talented and wonderful friends that I had. And I love the Joshua Tree area. I don't know if any of you have been there, but it's really beautiful. It's in the high desert of California. And I said yes, and we started our studio. A few months later, we had a fire at the restaurant, and I lost my business there and moved back to California and started the studio, started working there a lot and having all sorts of friends come in. And from our friends recording there, the business just began to bloom. And now we've recorded so many bands. We're celebrating 30 years now. And my friend Bingo Richey moved out there in 1999. And we became great friends. And one day he had the amazing idea that we should start a spirits company. Because we were always hosting people that brought lots of agave spirits to the studio to enjoy while working on projects there. And hospitality was, above all, what we strive to enhance these sessions that we were having there, to make people feel comfortable so that they could create the most beautiful music and feel comfortable and happy recording there. And Bingo had a great idea, and even though we knew nothing about it, he made it happen.
Well, before getting there, you have the recording studio, right? And then you obtained trademark registration for Class 41 for entertainment. How it happened?
Well, I actually did not get our trademark because I'm too trusting, and I didn't think that anyone would try to steal the name. But Bingo's really, really smart. I'm very happy to have him as a best friend, and in his genius, he decided to take it upon himself to get the trademark for Rancho de la Luna studio and give that to me to protect any kind of wrongdoing by nefarious people. And he was very generous with that, and I thank you every day, Bingo.
Excellent.
Well, you know, I knew it was important. We found out about the importance of trademarking our intellectual property the hard way, as many people do. Being musicians and engineers and producers, it's not really in our wheelhouse, if you will, to work in legal terms, or wasn't. And we learned when we tried to trademark Rancho de la Luna Mezcal with U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, I thought, you know, if we're going to avoid conflation, which in terms of like, if you sell a company, they might think that anything else with that name is included in the package. And I didn't want that to happen, and I wanted to make sure that David's and Fred Drake's legacy would be able to continue unabated, and made sure that it went into his sole proprietorship at that time. And it was a very proud moment to accomplish that.
Excellent. So you have all those iconic bands playing, recording in your studio, a very successful business, right? So how on earth did you end up in the spirits business? What happened?
Well, Fred and I basically started the studio so that we could record music together and the music of our friends that we were surrounded by, because we were surrounded by so many talented people. It started with just friends, and some of those friends became famous and started recording there. And once the recordings were making the rounds around the world and people were learning about where they recorded, liking the sounds, it just started growing where more people would say, "Oh, I love what you did with, say, the Foo Fighters when they were recording there. We like the sound of that." So more people started coming in, and musicians pick certain studios because of the sounds that you get there. So that's why a lot of people come. They like the sounds that we get, and the relaxed atmosphere, the beautiful surroundings. There's a lot to it. A lot of people wanted to get out of the city because they were, if you're recording in New York every night, there's a million things going on, so you're distracted. In the desert, there's nothing going on except for the beautiful skies and landscape. So you can focus in and really have a nice time recording and making the best recordings you can.
Excellent. So then you start recording and all the sessions, and then you realize that there was a lot of empty bottles of
very many empty bottles of agave spirits around our place.
And you decide to create your own brand.
That was all Bingo because he's a genius, as I said before.
The conversation kind of went like this. Wow, we spend a lot of money on booze. and these people are coming here and drinking and having a great time and making awesome stuff. Wouldn't it be nice to have a house brand that we could share with people? We'd always have something on hand. We might be able to sponsor cool local events with people. And let's give it a shot. It can't be that difficult. Fast forward to like an 8-year-long slow motion death sequence. But yeah, and we thought about it for a while, and then I think we talked about it a few different times of, hey, Bing, you're a hustler. Go out and get us an endorsement. Go get us a sponsorship. And I just kept thinking, you know what? We can do this. We can have our own label on a bottle, and it'll be fun. We'd make good Christmas presents. And then we went to a little neighborhood gathering and worked as bartenders at a little trailer, a fundraiser for the community center in Joshua Tree, California. And the rate of depletion in our supply just like really underscored to me that, like, man, we could really have a lot of fun with this thing. And I set about doing a lot of research and making a lot of cold phone calls to people and really talked to some amazing people. I called Carl Dumaney on the phone. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the story of Mezcal and how it was prohibited for a very long time in Mexico due to the efforts of groups like Jose Cuervo and Bacardi that would buy up the agave for pesos on the dollar and keep people from making the artisanal and the ancestral craft mezcal that had been originated by our ancestors. But Carl Dumaney did a brand called Encanto, and it was before the CRM existed. It was before anything existed. There was no noms available for it. Apparently he tried to build a warehouse and only got as far as the foundation with pallets and pallets of Encanto, just kind of going to hell in the sun. But I called him on the phone,
Okay.
out of the blue.
And then, okay, how did you obtain the trademark registration in Class 33. And did you face any challenge through the process?
Oh, boy.
For obtaining the
Yeah, we did.
for obtaining the authorization for the using of Mezcal word, because you need a producer, you need a partner, but tell us about that.
Yes. We searched high and low and found a production partner in Oaxaca at Santiago Manalan and worked with this family and brought them into our company. And when we brought them into the company, we also brought along the service agreement and production agreement and made it an exhibit as a part of our operating agreement for our company's formation papers. So it became a foundational aspect of what the company was. For trademarking, you know, we built, I designed the label for the bottle based on this sign that hangs outside Rancho de la Luna. It's a cut metal sign. And the moon is from the front door is a piece of Joshua tree that was carved out of a moon. I mean, everything on the label has a very specific connection to the place. And I knew that I needed to trademark that right away and got into USPTO and said, Rancho de la Luna Mezcal. And they wrote back, you don't own the word mezcal, son. Nobody does except for the CRM. So we talked to the Regulatory Commission, and, you know, the reason that protected designation of origin exists for this appellation is the same reason it exists for Bordeaux or Champagne. You know, it's to protect and preserve the historical and the cultural importance of the product, but also the production methods, and to ensure that there's safety and a very high standard. So we were able to prove that, and they let us in.
Okay, but your partner, those partners, what happened? What happened is,
Well, we got fucked. Sorry.
This is where he became the superhero.
Yeah, Gilberto saved us. So we're working with a very small distributor in Southern California, Marisela Martinez and her wonderful husband and their pickup truck. And we were evaporating. We couldn't keep enough stock on hand. That's still our problem today. But, you know, what happened was when we went down for our meeting and to sign the papers and welcome our new production partners into the company, they took their mom downtown the very next day and had her sign a paper stating that she owned Rancho de la Luna. And they stole our trademark for Mexico. And when we were starting to get false reporting on our numbers coming back, I think we were partying in New York or somewhere, Chicago. We were going out and introducing the brand to our friends, and what a joyful time. And then found that we'd been dancing in the plaza with knives in our backs, so to speak.
yeah.
And I called Marisela and I said, I need an attorney. We need an attorney. She said, what kind of attorney? I said, I want the most expensive attorney you know.
Come on.
And so she introduced us to Robert Rivas.
Not me, Robert Rivas.
But he's an associate and a really good friend of Gilberto, and they've worked together for decades. And working with specific IP, we're able to get a trademark reassignment through litigation that took over a year and a half in 2 different countries and almost killed us. But as you can see, we're still here.
Yeah, and I think successful brand.
Oh yeah.
You are almost everywhere. You are planning going another jurisdictions. So tell us about that.
Well, right now our distribution is focused in the largest agave markets in North America, which is primarily California, which is larger than the next 5 markets combined. But we're also available in Louisiana and New Orleans, where David has a huge imprint and following with his friends. in the state of Oregon, where I spent a lot of time working in entertainment and have a lot of bar connections up there, and in Washington. And now we're getting ready to move into Nevada, working with Breakthrough, which is the third largest distributor in North America. And they're just wonderful, and they're really excited about the brand and all the stuff we have planned to support it. Yeah.
Excellent. So now, so far we have Rancho de la Luna Recording Studio, Rancho de la Luna Spirits, successful, both of them.
Oh, wrong button.
Then what?
Sorry. So then we created a holdings company in order to work on other projects that weren't related to production of music, which is the studio, production of any kind of spirit, which is the spirits company, naturally. And so we created the holdings company so that we could move forward into other investments and help build other companies with ancillary support. And the things that we had in mind were a logistics company for touring support, for roadies, you know, to move concerts around, because a lot of us, like our buddy Pete Stahl, works and manages tours all over the world. And if we own the trucks and the equipment, then we can get more people working and get more people groceries, you know. So that was one of the main ideas with the holdings company. Yeah.
Okay, so now you are partnering with another people in the industry.
Correct.
So
The first company that we got involved with as a holdings company is called VYR. V is for Butch Vig. Butch is a really good friend of ours, and he's a very famous record producer. He made a little album called Nevermind by Nirvana, and Sonic Youth, Smashing Pumpkins, so many wonderful artists. Butch has made seminal, groundbreaking albums that have changed Western civilization in some way. But he loves us, and he's like, yeah, let's make a cool drum loop package. And then Y stands for Yurt Rock, which was Ryan Gruss, who had worked with Butch on another software program. And we are creating drum loops and samples for music production with Rancho de la Luna loops. We just released the first volume is Stella Mozgawa from the group Warpaint. She's a fantastic drummer, one of my favorites. And we've just launched our very first product for Christmas.
So, but what is a loop? Because I don't know if everybody knows what is a drum loop.
Okay, so if you work with music production, digital audio workstations like Pro Tools is a very popular one. Logic Pro is an Apple product. Machine is one, Native Instruments, Battery. There's several different formats where with music production you can just grab a loop out of a folder and place it into your thing and just start writing music to it. And it's editable, obviously, and but it's a good starting point for songwriting or for producing songs. I mean, a lot of drum machines get used in making music. A lot of loops get used, and it's a faster way to work.
Excellent. And do you have any story so that how the VYR started?
¿Cómo empezó?
Yeah.
Big, what happened, or do you have any story about that?
I had an idea. You know, we were talking with David, and we'd talked about it before, like, let's catalog these sounds. The drum sound at Rancho de la Luna is very famous. I mean, it's on a lot of different recordings. People go there for that reason. And we've often thought, hey, why don't we make our own package of drum loops so that we can work with it and start writing music with that. And I said, you know what, why don't we get Butch Vig involved? He had a product with Waves that did very, very well, returning 6 figures quarterly. And Ryan Gruss had done stuff building Native Instruments, and that's a huge product line. If you want to check on Sweetwater or Musician's Friend or any of these things, I mean, you can see what they're able to accomplish in terms of selling stuff. But yeah, I was getting my oil changed, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna call Butch, and I did. And he's like, you know what? That's a great idea, and we've got our buddy Ryan. He'll help us do it. So that's how it was born. And David said, yeah. So that's how. And the sessions were hilarious and very, very educational. You know, working with producers. For me, working with David Catching, his skill level and talent for working with sound and with people is, you can't touch that. And Butch obviously has his production chops. So I'm in the room learning from the best musicians and producers in the world, and I couldn't be happier. So I feel like I, in a way, made myself helpful and useful, and I'm glad of that.
Well, definitely your brilliance brought it to fruition by thinking of it and making it happen.
It's easy when you're inspired, and it's easy when you have continual support and a
Weed.
and a lot of mota. See,
It's legal where we live.
yeah.
Excellent. So, did you realize that being great musicians, great businessmen, but I think the most important thing here is that awareness of IP. Of course, you went through very hard time. In this case, in Mexico with the Mezcal brand, but for the first time, you knew that you have to trademark the Rancho La Luna recording studio in Class 41, and you know how to do that. And then that awareness allows you or leads you to a very successful journey. So now you have a recording studio, a spirits company, holding, loops this one, that it's very, very important. Yeah. So then what?
Well, you know, for a long time, working with artists, David mentioned, you know, a lot of famous people have worked at the studio, but we also work with people who are unknown, but have immense talent and really good hearts, and we understand that they're going to do amazing things as they grow as artists and as bands. And one of the things that David talked about a lot as over the last 3 decades was, wouldn't it be nice if they didn't have to get fed into the machine of indie and major labels and A&R people who lose their jobs day in, day out, and don't have a solid home to develop as an artist, and just are looked at as a bottom line that can move units on a single. We're old school, man. You know, we wanted a place to put out our own records and have a channel into the market through different distribution systems for virtual, digital, and tangible artifact product. You know, and we were able to accomplish that.
And a lot of bands that work at the studio are kids that have a lot of talent, but probably wouldn't reach any kind of audience without a little help. You know, unfortunately, it's kind of an exclusive club. Record labels, you know, they want people. Bigger labels want to sign people that are well known, and smaller labels want you to really work hard. And a lot of these kids were just starting, so it was a good way to help people that we connected with as friends and music, and you know, give whatever little bit of help that we could, a push to get them to the next level where they could start with minor labels or even a push to the majors.
Yeah, and give them the training and the confidence to move forward as bands and put in the real work themselves, to manage their own touring, to manage their own fan base connections and their own merchandising. we're not like a typical label with like tons of dough where you can like say, hey, you know, we'll buy you a tour and all this stuff, and then you have to sign away your soul to us. We don't take anybody's rights away from them. We work collectively in a cooperative manner that allows people to gain their own skill sets. And what's good for rock and roll is good for us. You know, no matter who is benefiting on their bottom line. If they're out doing stuff and they're sharing what we do and in our name, people are going to look this up and then hear bands they've never heard before, and it's going to blow their minds. You know, at least that's the goal. And you know, in securing distribution in North America, we were able to partner with other independent labels. We worked with a group called Left Front Door. It's a label from Paris that was started with funding that was, I'm not sure, David, you should probably explain where Left Front Door came from with Arthur Deneveau.
I'll let, I'm not.
Do you remember that?
I know, I do.
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly how he started that.
I don't remember.
Well, some people were involved in a horrendous event that happened at Bataclan in Paris, and it was all over the news, and David was on stage when that stuff went down. But you know, a fan base with a band like what David does and what we do, it's kind of close knit, you know, because we all know each other, party together, and you know how it is. And so people that had survived that banded together with like the finances that they were able to recoup on, you know, suffering charges, I suppose, and they built a record label with it. And we said, you know what, we're going to team up and put your imprint on our next release and get you in the door with the distribution for North America. And we were able to accomplish that. And that was awesome too.
Excellent. So now, 4 entities, different entities. And what is next? What are the challenges for entertainment industry?
Oh man. Well, I mean, we've all...
We need like 50 minutes more, right?
Wait, how much more time do we have to talk about challenges?
I mean, there's a lot of challenges. You know, I tell my kids, you know, if you learn how to play guitar and you do it great, you could end up making hundreds of dollars a year. You know, keep up the good work. It's working in entertainment, and especially with IP. You know, I did a experiment where I took my vocal track off of one of our songs and replaced it with an AI version of Miley Cyrus singing the lyrics, and it was actually better. But we didn't release it, obviously. We don't want to infringe on anybody's rights. But I think that the challenge is broadening the scope of what's considered to be intellectual property. You know, and I think that's what a big part of the SAG-AFTRA writers and actors union strike was all about too, of being made an avatar and having your face and your vocal imprint stolen. You know, we have to think about that, and I think there's a number of ways we can address it. And I think whoever builds the perfect mousetrap is going to get the cheese. But right now, there's several perfect mousetraps out there. You know, there's one, the Open Music Initiative that Berkeley has posited that I think Sony in UK is starting to adopt. First and foremost, I mean, I don't know what we should do. Maybe we should build avatars of each performer and just have that as our case study and have the vocal imprint there, maybe our biometric features, you know, in place also so that it can't be just reproduced. I think one way to ensure that would be, make avatars and do it like that.
Yeah, interesting. There's a lot of challenges. For sure, we are finding the way to get through these challenges. Mm-hmm. So what is next for Rancho de la Luna?
Well, For Rancho de la Luna, we're celebrating 30 years, as David stated. We've got an amazing album project that we've been working on for 2.5 years now with Paul Fraser, who's just a really gifted producer from UK. And all of David's friends, all the ones that are still alive, coming back around and putting like really sick tracks together. So, I mean, that's going to be a release. I don't know if it's going to be a volume series, but there's a huge body of work that's been amassed. And there's a film project underway with that called Love to All, which is David's motto. And, you know, that's one big thing about all of our companies, Gilberto, is that our goal is to imprint enough of our ethos and what we really believe in as people into the brands so that if they do become acquired, at least we've put into them that we are all about inclusion and not about alienating or hurting anybody. We don't go out of our way to do that. And we figure the more the merrier at the party, you know, and that's a real thing.
We just wrapped a movie that we made when restrictions of COVID were laxed a couple of years ago. We played a benefit for the Joshua Tree National Park inside the park, which is one of the most beautiful parks in the world. And we filmed that and another show the next night. It just happened to be the hottest nights on records, and both nights were outside. So that was a huge challenge because the equipment was overheating. A lot of the stuff that we shot was unusable because the cameras were melting down and the recording devices. But we did cobble up enough together to make a really cool movie that's we just finished that. That'll be coming out.
Yeah, we were working with Alejandro Ordóñez as a director. He's done many documentaries. He's a fantastic director, and all of our friends got to work on the project as well with cameras and recording equipment. And man, it sounds great, and it's getting ready to go to festivals right now, and then we'll be releasing it to a streaming service at some point.
Excellent. So we can see here that the importance of the IP in every industry, not only entertainment, but this awareness of the IP leads you to success. And how do you feel about that? Because now you have 5 different entities, very good business. So what do you think?
I think primarily we're going to be concerned with enforcement of contracts and publishing for the IP and for the content that we create. When we release a song or a piece of video, we install what's called metadata into it. It's like there's a couple of different ways that SoundScan tracks things. One is the ISRC. It's a recording code. It's a 16-digit code that shows origination of the file, ownership of the file, etc. It's hideously outdated, and it's used by companies like BMI and ASCAP and PRS in UK that go out and report plays on the radio or streams, and also are in charge of royalty collection and disbursement. Well, we don't need that anymore, you know? And so one of the things that I've been working on the sidelines is a way to insert into metadata the ISRC code itself, like in a kerneling fashion. If you're down with C++, or if you work with any kind of blockchain technology, it shows origination of file, and it shows ownership of file. And you can also install publishing information in that. So if you're using a system like what Shazam uses, if you're familiar with Shazam, you can click and cat like whatever music is playing, and it'll tell you what it is, right? Show up on your car radio, you know. it's that kind of thing, but on steroids, basically. And, you know, my position is to take all of that other, like, blockchain information and make it in a mathematical kernel, which is essentially taking a quadratic or a Cartesian equation and busting it down into code. Thanks, ChatGPT. But, you know, working in that way so that it'll signal, hey, there's something here to see, and also unfold it and hopefully essentially trigger money transactions at the point of play that go directly into the accounts of the people who wrote the music and own it. But that's, I mean, it sounds like a pipe dream, but everything else that we've accomplished has looked like it was impossible so far, and I don't see what's wrong with doing something impossible.
So the sky is the limit, right?
Maybe not.
Okay, maybe. Yeah, you're right, because we have other things there.
Yeah.
Excellent. So it was a very, very good journey from the recording studio, Spirits Company, holding cultural loops. So I want to recognize you because you have a very good, you are very conscious about IP. So it's a great example for everybody in all the industries. So thank you very much for being here. It was like a very long journey, like 5 months, something like that, a lot of Zooms, but thank you very much for that.
You know, the moment that you invited us to come and be a part of this, Gilberto, I've always said we are forever with a debt of gratitude to you and Specific IP for helping us understand the value of it and really fully understanding that, like, as creators, as music creators, as vision creators, that's our only value. I mean, and so the IP is the value that we work with, and to protect that at all costs is at the fore.
Thank you very much, David.
I agree. We can't thank you enough. We've met so many great people. Like I said, we got in at 5 p.m. yesterday, and by 5:15, we've met 15 people that we'll be friends with for the rest of our lives, for sure. And it's just been a pleasure. I hope everybody here has been having a great time at the conference. I'm sure you have, because everybody has the hugest smiles, and hopefully you're getting out of this what you came for.
And I'm interested to learn more too. So whoever's working in file type management, you know, let's have a meeting and talk about it, because this isn't my, like, number one game. I'm not a mathematician. I try to put ideas together. So I'm very, very keen on learning more.
And thank you to the Executive Committee of the ASIPI, Trademark Committee. Thank you very much. And I want to open the panel for Q&A. So if there is any question, do you want to ask to David and Bingo?
Yes, David is single.
Room 3101.
Oh, jeez. Our neighbors are going to love you. Yes.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this
Morning.
wonderful presentation and share your experiences from the both sides as an artist, music production, and the trademark. The question is, do you have plans for the brand to be exported to Europe or other places?
As a matter of fact, we do. Distribution of physical product in terms of records and stuff like that, that's a cinch. You just have to have a good contract. Alcohol, excuse me, is a very highly regulated product. We've come to find. In the United States, it varies state by state, so there's a lot of hoops to jump through and a lot of mandatory compliance in terms of licensing and product safety, et cetera. With the help of specific IP, we've locked down all of our trademarking and IP for the United Kingdom, which is going to be our next probably foray. We've got a lot of friends there with the Independent Venues Association. There's 3,000 independent venues in UK that have banded together, and that's going to be our introduction, is going there and supporting the local live music in these little towns and these little venues, and showing support for them that are, a lot of places are still suffering after the COVID lockdown. They lost a lot of business. But we're also ready to roll for Australia, which is also a great music market, and for Brazil, where we've been doing some work with Peter Buck from REM, who's another one of our members on our board. And, you know, I don't know if we're going to do Mezcal there, but most definitely some cachaça. And have fallen in love with some of the small batch cachaça in Brazil, which will allow us to help support more touring for artists. Yeah, thank you.
Another question?
Hi, thank you very much for all of your comments. I think it's very nice. I'm right here.
Hi.
Over here.
Hi.
Thank you very much. My question is regarding the loops. If I understand correctly, well, the first question will be this one. If I understand correctly, you can use it as a backing track for music. I mean, you can build your own music upon it. Is that correct? Yes, it is, right?
Yes, it is. And
Okay.
Go ahead, David. You want to tell them about it? The drum loops. So the licensing involved in the user agreement allows the user to use the drum loops, build a song with it, and release it and own it. And we don't get any royalty off of that. It's part of the end user agreement.
You anticipated my next question, which was exactly that. Which kind of rights were given to the buyer of the loop, and which rights were kept by you or the musician? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It was a real pleasure to build those because we picked our three of our favorite drummers. I mean, we have so many wonderful friends that are great musicians, and we picked the first three on their abilities to play. Unlike a lot of other people, it's not very straightforward. It's very interesting stylistic developments that they have.
Yeah.
And it's cool because they just played what they wanted to play, and you just take whatever. For other people that don't know what that is, it's just drummers playing, and you can take what they're playing and make songs out of that. But then you own it outright.
Yeah, you can use it for whatever you like.
So you can play with your favorite drummers.
That's right.
Another question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Hilo, for having this very interesting panel. Thanks to the ChatGPT, the industry is changing now. How do you imagine this kind of industry in the future, and how it could be affected by AI, no? And not only your industry, but also the authors that, of course, are going to be affected because of this.
Wow. I view it as a tool, and I like to think about the very first computers that were ever made, which is the abacus in China for mathematical computation, right? And you can use it a number of ways. Computers on their own, you can use a number of ways. Word processing instead of typing. I mean, there was a time when that was seen as like, oh, you're cheating, you know, you're cutting corners or whatever. I see machine learning, if applied properly, can be a real time saver in terms of what you're trying to accomplish with building files or organizing thoughts. You know, I use it a lot for writing because it'll allow me to put a quick table of contents together, and then I moved from there and worked very organically with that information. But in terms of music production, it's being used widely. You know, one of our partners, we have a production studio in Silver Lake in Los Angeles. We do a lot of post-production, a lot of content creation and management for HBO, Lucasfilm, Hulu, Netflix, you name it. And in doing sound design, you know, if you're on a set and everybody's got their little lav mics and some have some boom mics, it can be a really tricky thing to put those together where it doesn't look like a cut up ransom note, you know what I mean, so to speak. So using AI to remove the noise and to bolster parts of the EQ and actually create elements that are missing from the sound. It's a little scary, you know, if you've ever seen the Miley Cyrus meme where she's like, you know, and they got the little bulldog. We did that. And said, don't put that shit out, but they did, and now it's a thing. But what it shows is that you can create like all kinds of mess for people. You can make, I mean, they made an avatar out of me. And I've actually made two. I was going to bring him here for the presentation, and we thought it might just scare the shit out of everybody because I was going to sign over my genomic sequencing to the avatar and all this stuff, all these sci-fi ideas. But I'm glad we didn't do it. I think it's going to change a lot. And I think it really depends on our personal ethics. And a lot of people will say that the end justifies the means in terms of artistic creation. You know, I'm a big fan of art, but when you see people like Damien Hirst like paying people to make his dot paintings, what is that? It's the idea being put forward and elements being used in that service. So I don't know if disclosure is going to be necessary. But I think we have to watch out and be very careful on the information that we're going to be receiving, and that we've been seeing already horrible examples of misuse and disinformation, you know. Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
Is there another question? No more questions. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Put the heart there. Oh, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very much for coming this morning. It means a lot to us.
Thanks for having us.
Gracias, Belu.
Thank you, Belu.
Just don't shrug your shoulders when you get older. The things